HBAR is making some serious moves. We have updates on some of Hedera's biggest use cases, and we have the potential for the U.S. government to buy HBAR directly. Welcome back. I'm Brandon, the HBAR Bull, here once again to bring you the latest in the Hedera ecosystem. But as always, none of this is financial advice. Use it for entertainment or educational purposes only. So what we're going to start off with is what I think is the biggest catalyst and driver behind the price move we've seen in HBAR, and that is the discussions around the potential for a U.S. crypto strategic reserve. I touched on this yesterday in my market update, but this is really huge news. The way I see it, there are two kinds of reserves in the U.S. The assets held by the U.S. Central Bank, the Federal Reserve, that can be used to support the U.S. dollar, and that includes treasury notes and bonds, mortgage-backed securities, and gold. The other kind of reserves are held directly by the federal government, the most valuable of which is land, but the most talked about is probably the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. I don't see any way that the central bank would buy crypto at this point, so this discussion on buying crypto would be the latter and held by the federal government. There was a lot of talk about a Bitcoin strategic reserve last year, but with Trump's America First strategy, it's not surprising that he would consider crypto that's had its origins here in the United States. The first rumors of this happened after the meetings between Trump and Ripple XRP founder Brad Garlinghouse, which isn't a surprise, and XRP has been highlighted as one of those US-founded tokens. And as highlighted yesterday, the New York Post reported, while many in the cryptocurrency community has been cheering on the pro-crypto executive orders Trump is expected to issue, one idea is causing more controversy. The idea of an American-first strategic reserve that would prioritize digital coins founded in the US like Solana, USDC, and Ripple. Of course, HBAR has the best U.S. cred with former U.S. Air Force officer founders and the governing council as a legal U.S. entity. And now we have news that Mance is even going to meet with the incoming administration.
I am headed to DC, and there's the crypto ball that's going on there tomorrow night. And then there is a VIP event with David Sachs, who, of course, is now the crypto and AI czar for the new administration. I'll be attending that.
And it seems like Charles is going to be at this event as well. This is where having people like Mance and Lehman really pays off. I can't imagine better representation with somebody like David Sachs, and I see Hedera making a great impression while they're in DC. Plus, David Sachs is the crypto and AI czar, and with the integration of Hedera tech into NVIDIA and Intel chips to address AI concerns, prove AI, and other Hedera developments, I think the conversations about Hedera will be pretty memorable. So what are the chances of this U.S. strategic crypto reserve that includes HBAR actually coming to fruition? Considering some of the details and conversations we see coming out, I actually think there's a pretty good chance. And you couple that with the HBAR ETF, with some of these major use cases that are being announced, and of course, the possibility of major Hedera governing council members getting announced, there's no shortage of major catalysts for the HBAR market. All right, so now we're going to shift gears here a little bit. We're going to get into stablecoins. There was some major news that hit that we already had some hints about coming out of the Philippines. It appears Hedera is winning the race and cornering the remittance market in the country of over 100 million people with the launch of PHPX, a Filipino peso stablecoin by a consortium of banks. Cointelegraph reported on this, but if you've been watching this channel, you've known this was coming for months. But we did get some new information on timing this week. It looks like the stablecoin will launch in May or June of this year. For a refresher on everything that's going on here, we're going to go to David. He's the CEO of FSCO and the tech driver behind everything that's going on in this collaboration. To start, Can you tell us what the Digital Asset Alliance is and what its goals are?
Well, the Digital Asset Alliance is a consortium of banking and regulated financial institutions. It's the governance layer. We're the technical provider. However, the users of the stablecoin, which is the first product that's coming out. Number two will be basically a settlement layer where stablecoins can be swapped with multiple pairings. But really, it's about the governance and steering that we're going in the correct direction. Right. So if we're going to have, for example, a stablecoin, what are the parameters around that stablecoin? Who's going to put up the capital? Right. How are we going to monitor it's going to be there? How else is it going to be used? Are we just minting a stablecoin, or is it going to go into pairings? Right. How do we engage with the regulator? In fact, the regulator will become a part of that. So the central bank will be a part of the DAA. So I suppose to sum it up in its most powerful sense, it is multiple banks that are giving their input and helping to uplift the quality of digital assets, particularly stablecoins and the utilization across the Philippines. So these are banks and regulators.
Well, let's dig into that stablecoin. Obviously, it makes sense now of why you're going with PHPX, a Filipino peso stablecoin. Can you talk about that and then maybe get into those future products a little bit more? Are you going to have additional stablecoins in other currencies, or are you just going to be bridging or allowing trading between stablecoins that are already established in other jurisdictions and this PHPX?
Well, let me start with why is this stablecoin different, right? So we're seeing a raft of US dollar denominated stablecoins, right? What do I expect to see? I expect there to be further fragmentation, which will lead to commoditization. A lot will die, and then there'll be a consolidation, right? That's just the way these tech cycles work. We're taking a position that's very different, right? So Circle, great company. There's lots of other companies issuing stable coins. We like the way Circle's done it, right? They've worked very well with the regulator. Regulated institutions have been very comfortable using them. But even then, it's a private company. The difference with PHPX is they're all banks. So there's a difference, right? It's not me saying I have some money somewhere. These are reserves that are sitting in a bank. So the people that are collateralizing, or the individuals or entities collateralizing it, are banks, are regulated financial institutions, are beholden to the regulator, to the central bank. There's a big difference in terms of statement of quality and collateral. So that's one. But number two, you have to think about it. There has never been a stable, to the best of my knowledge, where multiple regulated institutions, it might be one bank. A bank might say, oh yeah, we like this, we're going to do a stable coin. They may be a very big bank. But again, to contrast what's actually happening, there are several banks adhering to a specific standard, specific contract, and our core infrastructure is going to be on Hedera, right? Low energy costs, quantum resistance, speed, et cetera, low carbon footprint. Yep.
So Hedera continues to make strides in the cross-border payment space, and this is no small feat because the Philippines is the fourth largest remittance market in the world, representing over $40 billion transferred annually. Now let's move over to our mad scientist and inventor in the space. We have Milan, who is doing some fantastic stuff in the Hedera space. Milan is seeing a lot of interest in one of his inventions, the Nomid platform. Nomid not only allows for point-of-sale payments in seconds with a single tap of your phone, but also simultaneous settlement. Using Nomid saves between 1.5% and 3.5% over traditional payments rails. These fees are passed on in full or in part to the consumer. So if the Nomid tech takes off, it's a winner for pretty much everybody except for maybe the credit card companies. This is one of the best and easy to understand examples of the power of Hedera. Milan posted a video of some of his new terminals, so let's take a look.
Hi everybody, very excited to show you guys new prototypes of Nomid. I have been working on these for the past few months, and this one is going out today. Here we go. So I've got two nice devices, Nomid, ready to be tested. All right, have a great day everybody. Bye-bye.
So we wish Milan the best of luck in everything that he's doing with Nomid, because his success is going to be success for Hedera. The other big story that was all over the place this week was what was happening with the launch of the WISeSat and CLSQ satellites. The coordination of these launches is absolutely amazing. Now, my understanding was all of these satellites would be helping to fulfill the CLSQ and WISeSat vision for transactional Internet of Things infrastructure, but we did get a post from Carlos following the launch. He said, following the successful launch yesterday of a new generation of WISeSat satellites, we're excited to announce our upcoming launch planned for April 2025. This will feature a special WISeSat Hedera Sealcoin edition, designed to enable crypto machine-to-machine and DePIN, decentralized physical infrastructure network transactions directly from space. This innovative solution will allow connected objects to transact seamlessly with each other via satellite, leveraging Sealcoin as the medium of exchange. Sealcoin AG is a joint venture between WiseKey and the Hashgraph Association, combining expertise in cybersecurity and blockchain technology to revolutionize secure space digital transactions. So again, I thought that these satellites were all going to be part of this transactional Internet of Things network, but we've had Carlos on several times in the past, so we're going to reach out to him and try to get some clarification. Now we're going to move on to another DePIN project, Neuron. Neuron is also, of course, building on Hedera and just launched its new website, and it's a heck of an upgrade. As we've touched on in the past, Neuron already has its beta sensors deployed and in operation. The operators of these sensors are going to be compensated with a Neuron fungible token for their participation in the network. Currently, these sensors are being used to log the movement of both manned aircraft and drones, and that data logged to the Hedera consensus service, but the sensors will have multiple uses in the future, including smart cities and autonomous vehicles. Now I'd like to get into some real-world asset tokenization with an announcement that came out of Vaultik this week. Vaultik, a cutting-edge luxury fintech platform, has announced a partnership with the World Gemological Institute, which is the UK's largest and most trusted gemstone certification lab. This agreement is to tokenize $3 billion worth of diamonds, gemstones, watches, jewelry, all on the Hedera network. And as Genfinity pointed out, that would represent 20% of all tokenized real-world assets at this point, so it's a pretty big deal. The CEO of WGI said, "We're thrilled to partner with Vaultik and the Hedera ecosystem to transform the way gemstones and luxury goods are authenticated. In today's world, the authenticity of our products must be indisputable. Tokenizing our certificates ensures that buyers and sellers can rely on a secure, verifiable system for confirming the value, authenticity, and ownership of precious assets. This represents a significant step towards establishing greater trust and security in the industry." The co-founder of Vaultik added, "The collaboration between Vaultik, the World Gemological Institute, Acrisure, and the HBAR Foundation marks a new era for diamond and gemstone certification. Traditional paper-based certificates or emailed PDFs are prone to tampering and inefficiencies. By harnessing blockchain technology, we're providing a far more secure, cost-effective solution that ensures authenticity, reduces fraud, and enhances customer confidence. In addition, the ability to purchase insurance directly via certificates offers consumers immediate protection for their goods, while enabling authenticators, such as gemologists, jewelers, and luxury goods dealers, to offer a new, valuable service." So we've already talked about stablecoins and payments, decentralized physical infrastructure, and now real-world assets. In recent weeks, we've been talking about AI a lot, so we're pretty much hitting on all these major verticals. This week, another thing that I got really excited about was an interview that I did with Greg Bell from the HBAR Foundation. We had Steven from Canary Capital, and we also managed to get Eric from Bloomberg Intelligence to talk about the potential for an HBAR ETF. Now, I'm not going to go through the entire thing because we already posted that video, so if you want to get all the details around the HBAR ETF, go ahead and check out that video, but I did want to grab some highlights.
Again, with this new SEC, we don't totally know how they're going to operate, but it looks good. But the current situation is that if the SEC has ID'd it as a security and it's named as a security in pending lawsuits, they wouldn't be able to approve it under the current act. Thus, those would be sort of Solana XRP would be kind of held hostage by this situation for a minute or two. These don't have that albatross hanging above them or whatever. And so these two would be easier to push through. Litecoin in particular, because, it would be pretty much classified as a commodity. I don't think there's much debate there. So what we thought was that we would get the Ether Bitcoin combos, which those are no problem. They're going to come out. Litecoin would be next, in my opinion. If I'm just going by like HBAR and then XRP Solana after that, because I believe, and Steve may correct me, that the SEC would have to rescind their lawsuits. But again, and I'd like to get Steve's take on this, there's all these things they've said and things we get hung up on. Oh, there's no futures, this. But all of this is really just technical things that were under the direction of the guy who used to run the SEC. If a new person steps in and they just want it all approved, my guess is they can probably figure out legal ways to just get it through. So that's why this Trump win was so huge. But it's possible the new SEC head does want to respect the staff and the legacy before it. I don't know how respectful they'll be of that. If they are, then what I said earlier is probably true. But I guess it's possible they come in and just, override everything. There's a lot of unknowns still. That's why we have not, Nate Geraci has his predictions already. We haven't quite been out there yet. We just feel like, and we've also got we had a little chatter on Litecoin that was positive. So that's why we're, moving towards course tuning. We're not fine tuned yet, but we're course tuning towards Litecoin HBAR than the other two. I'll be honest with you. So I've been covering ETFs for 20 years, and about once a year there's a filing where I don't even know what the hell it is. I have to Google the name. This was that filing for this year. 6 years ago, as I was actually quantum computing, I'd never heard that phrase. Now that's a big deal. So in 6 years from now, HBAR could be like a household name. But at the time, I was like, what is this? And then I saw some of these big tech logos involved with it, which seems pretty promising. I don't see any holdup. Again, this is if Gensler was the chair, there'd be many things you could say, including, well, we need to have futures on them. That's the big one. But I don't know if that's going to apply with this SEC. So, X, I believe they're going to try to start getting futures on some of the other coins. But does that matter under the new chair? Probably not, but it might. And if that matters, then that would be one. But there's plenty of ETFs in Europe that track all this stuff, and they don't have futures, and they work fine. I've always been of the mind that the ETF is such a durable structure that's been proven over and over. I mean, there are some ETFs that hold really whack stuff in other asset classes. For some reason, everybody thinks it's all SPY, but there's been some funky stuff launched, and it works fine. I mean, sometimes they morph into a closed-end fund for a day or a couple minutes where their prices deviates from the NAV. People fine with it; they get over it. So, I think Hester Peirce in particular is of that mindset. What I just said, which is, we trust the ETF, just disclose everything, and then the investor can make their decision. That libertarian attitude would mean that this would not have any problems, in my opinion.
You asked the question, are in-kind contributions or redemptions from ETFs, crypto ETFs, on the horizon? And I'm curious, Eric, what are your thoughts there? Do you think that will be something we might see within this new administration?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, that was a Gary Gensler thing. And even BlackRock really wanted it. They were pushing hard to get in-kind up to the last minute. That was the reason that the whole idea of Larry Fink can make a phone call, and that's why the Bitcoin ETFs were going to get approved, was maybe a little too much, because Larry couldn't get in-kind. When you do in-kind, you kind of open up the ETF to source the underlying cryptocurrency from anywhere. Whereas if it's cash, the issuer can go to sources that way you don't get I don't know, what would you call that, laundered Bitcoin or dirty Bitcoin in the fund?
Tornado cash or something like that?
Something like that, I guess, yeah. That said, it's not like US dollars are totally clean. It's just it's a Gensler thing, but everybody was like, all right, cash is better than nothing. But nobody really everybody wanted in kind. So anyway, with the new SEC chair, they're probably going to do it, because Hester Peirce was on an interview with somebody. It was a podcast like this, and she said something like it's on the table, or it was very good, strong hint that both that and even Ether staking would be fine. And she's just like I said, she's a libertarian at heart, and she had what do you call what's that kind of cat? Cheshire cat.
Oh yeah, Cheshire cat.
Sure. She looked very happy, because she said something like, well, when the person running the SEC leaves and there's a new person who's okay with this, well, things are going to change. She said something so direct that was adult mature talk for, it's a new sheriff in town, and we're going to do things differently now. That's a really good sign. So I feel like whoever comes in this chair, she's going to be a great partner for them, because she's been a commissioner for many years, and she's had to write opinion after opinion on these things. So I would look for both those to happen this year.
Sticking with the ETF space, I wanted to offer my congratulations to Duncan Moyer. He was, I guess, a former Hedera Governing Council member representative for Aberdeen, and he's got a new gig as president at 21 Shares. 21 Shares is a crypto ETF provider with about $4.5 billion worth of assets under management. He was on a panel with ARK Invest founder and celebrity investor Cathie Woods a few days ago to discuss crypto in 2025. Hopefully, his influence will allow 21 Shares and maybe even ARK to consider HBAR-backed products. Obviously, Duncan can no longer represent Aberdeen on the council, but maybe the relationship with 21 Shares will now strengthen, which is certainly a good thing. So I only have one interview for you guys this week, and it comes from the team at Mingo. Mingo has been in the Hedera ecosystem from day one, and they're still just as busy as ever. So today we have the Mingo team. We've had them on in the past, but it's been a while. Guys, welcome.
Thanks a million. Thank you, Brandon, for having us. We're delighted.
Well, it's absolutely my pleasure. I'm going to jump right into the questions here. Joe, I know we've had you on a couple times in the past, but can you just give us a refresher on what Mingo is and what's your vision for the platform?
Okay. So initially, I'm assuming most people watching this haven't seen or know what Mingo is. So to put it very simply, we've built a wallet on Hedera that supports all Hedera-based tokens and all Hedera-based NFTs. And out to one side of that, our goal is to onboard the average person into this space. People are used to earning tokens in games. What they're not used to doing is taking a token from a game and bringing it across and being able to buy a ticket for an event. So our ecosystem allows that. And Jason will go through in later on a little bit more about the game and what we've built there. But we've used the whole concept of NFTs and combined it with standard ticketing to tokenize tickets for events. And we are doing that for 4 reasons. Number one is obviously the fraud component. People are very much aware of the issues Ticketmaster are having with fraud and other ticket platforms and people turning up in multiples for the same seat. That obviously built in Hedera eliminates that whole process. But because it's a programmable digital ticket, again, let's be clear, we're avoiding all the terminology like cryptocurrency, blockchain, NFT. We've built an NFT ticketing platform that we can share with you guys. But for the average person, we've built a programmable digital ticket platform. And that ticket allows for the program to write in a commission for the event organizer on the secondary market sales. It can put a cap in for the event organizer saying, I don't want my tickets sold at 3 and 4 and 5 times price. This is all you're allowed to sell it for in the secondary market. So it's a big thing for event organizers, but it's the fourth thing. And this is the key component of what we're doing. It is the ability for us to create a digital collectible memory, a collectible digital memory, should I say, at the event. So you as an event organizer can share a piece of content. As the ticket is redeemed, during the event live, or even after the event, share a new NFT, but it's a memory with the person who's attended the event and enhance their experience. So that's the goal of what we're doing here. So enhance fan experiences and greatly in increasing an event management company's way to engage with their fans.
I'm sure those event organizers are probably excited about the ability to have royalties as well. So if it transfers hands multiple times, they are getting at least a piece of that. If they initially sell a ticket for $200 and it goes for $1,000 or $2,000 or $3,000, they're not realizing any of that gain. But now with this new technology, we can actually have the event organizers realizing some of those gains.
No, it's brilliant for organizers. They love that. And that's like the partnerships we built already is crazy on the back of that because they love the idea of being able to engage with their fans in a better way.
Without a question. Now, David, I want to go over to you next. Now, we've been talking going back all the way to 2018. You're one of the original HBAR out there, but you're also one of the Mingo advisors. What attracted you to Mingo?
Yeah, thanks, Brandon. So actually, 2018 Hedera launch event, I met Joe actually because they were presenting and I listened to them and I was like, wow, these guys are really doing some cool stuff around gaming and event ticketing and mostly kind of mobile versions of using Hedera. And of course, we've all been through the ringer on trying to integrate with Hedera and now we're like really, operating at full speed. But that was how I met. And in terms of like what excites me about event ticketing is I think that it's ripe for Web3 disruption because I'm actually I'm a major kind of consumer of going to all kinds of events myself personally, mostly music. But looking at like fraud in that business and then just looking at ticket platform sharing, like if you're trying to buy a ticket off a Ticketmaster and say you're going to share it with somebody on AXS, the process is very frustrating if you've been involved, because sometimes you put a bid in on something and you wait for hours before there's a response. This can be, of course, we know built on Hedera, we can reach finality in 3 seconds. You can have a very quick operational time to actually get that done. The other thing that's exciting to me is the direct connection of the artist to the fans. I think, who wants Ticketmaster or AXS controlling the narrative of, if you're an artist and you're whatever kind of artist, if you're a boxer, if you're a musician, whatever, you want specialized Web3 platforms like Mingo. Of course, we've already got Galaxy built on Hedera. As you know very well, and you're very involved with Karate Combat. I think Mingo, where we really can set up a differentiation, is focused initially on boxing, but then going and expanding into extreme sports, going into boutique events, as well as even getting into broader categories like music later. There's no reason why they can't. So, for me, anybody building on Hedera is my friend, first of all. And second of all, there's just a lot of good history there, and I'm really excited about what they're doing.
Oh, good stuff. Now, I'm going to get to some of those partnerships and what you're doing a little bit later with Joe in a few minutes, but I do want to go to Jason real quick. You're more on the tech side of things. Can you just explain how you're using Hedera and just more along the tech side of things when it comes to Mingo?
No problem at all. So look, I mean, when I joined the project, like some of the development had already been started, and obviously we had been working with the development team. Now, obviously we've expanded that out. We've expanded out internally. And we've got a lot more competencies in relation to that now. Obviously, everything is still mobile focused, and it's always about kind of increasing, I suppose, the functionality from what's there. I suppose taking the insights from what's already been developed and what we've learned from working with Hedera and applying it to stuff like this. Like, again, obviously, when I joined, play to earn gaming and NFTs was really like what the markets were looking for. That was very much the narrative at the time, and that was what everyone was excited about. So obviously, so were we. And again, it was through the development and through kind of the gaining the experience from the NFT side that it all led perfectly into the ticketing. So again, we're staying mobile focused. We're keeping everything like in the app. The whole point is to make it super simple. Like, as it's been mentioned before, we're not necessarily looking to, cannibalize existing Web3 audiences. Like, this is very much about going mainstream. Obviously, again, I was super interested in anything that would bring crypto mainstream, which was obviously with the initial focus on the gaming. But this is where the NFT ticketing is just like perfect, because the market fit and the audience is so wide. It's the narrative that everyone has been calling for, and no one has really managed to achieve it or lock it down. And I think with the partnerships and everything that we have in play, we're really, really in a good place for that. I'm bringing it back with the tech. I mean, sometimes people are like, oh, you're doing gaming, you're doing NFTs, you're doing this. And it's like, look, Mingo and the Mingo app, it is like an access point to entertainment, and the different verticals that we're applying the tech that we've developed to. It's all about feeding people into our ecosystem. So again, we're bringing in the normals from the ticketing. They essentially are told, look, go to mingo.com, get your tickets. There's no way about that. But now once we have you in there, we're now providing you different things, different like sticky things that keep you in the app and kind of funnel you through. So again, you've gone to your concert, you've got your fees back in Mingo. What I'm going to do with this? Oh, well, here's a game. Here's Astro cards. Here's something really, really interesting over here. Send them across. And I think in terms of, genuinely driving real adoption, I mean, if you've taken a person who's never used a Web3 app before in their life, and we've brought them the whole way through that process and into a Web3 game, I mean, as far as I'm concerned on my end, I feel like we've kind of achieved what we're looking to do in terms of adoption. So again, we obviously have a bunch of features that are coming out for the ticketing side of the business, and that will continue to happen. But then we also have Astro Cards, which is actually currently live right now, which is actually our first play to earn game. So that's a battle royale style carding game. It's really, really fun. It's all based on casual gaming. Again, that was very much kind of my thinking is, look, we're not here trying to develop the next AAA game. That's not what we want to do. We want to create kind of fun experiences that people can dip in and out of. It's browser based. It's not like you need a special gaming machine or you need anything like this. It's very accessible to all audiences. So again, that's where the focus is coming from the tech. It's like, let's keep it simple. Let's keep it mainstream, and let's figure out ways to use what we've developed to bring in a mainstream audience.
So I don't necessarily think of ticketing and gaming as going together. How do you bring those two things together with your app?
Well, see, this is the exact thing. So again, obviously through the UI, it's nice and simple and it's very accessible through the wallet. Again, being a traditional, I suppose, native crypto user, I'm very familiar with, the MetaMasks, the browser-based hash packs, the having to, connect your, you've got to go through a browser, you've got to connect here, you've got to go here, you've got to go to a DApp, you got to move stuff here, and it's fine for people that are used to it, but it's a bit convoluted for, I suppose, everyday adoption. So again, that's where having a nice streamlined UI, having everything down in the taskbar, having everything there that people can access, it's all the stuff that you're looking for. And again, as I said, the way that the ticketing and the gaming is kind of working, or the way that we're kind of thinking, is that these verticals are just leveraging the same sort of technology that we've developed from, NFT launchpads, from the gaming side of things. It's all the same tech, but then by bringing it together in this one app, and then again, using that to bring people through, you are getting like a traditional audience that doesn't actually even know that they're using a Web3 app. And now all of a sudden, within a week or 2 weeks, they're now actually playing a play to earn game. They're earning tokens, they're swapping coins, and it's all just done through a nice, simple in-app mobile UI.
And some of those tokens that you're earning, will that allow you to have like discounts or things like that on real world tickets?
The tokens you're earning is Mingo.
They're earning token, the Mingo coin in the game, and then they can come across and get early access to tickets or buy the tickets with the coin over the coming months.
Perfect. Fully understood now. Now, Joe, I want to dive into, Jason was talking about some of those partnerships. Can you get into that and maybe some of your other features or anything else you might want to cover?
Well, I suppose the key here for us is that people are aware. You mentioned at the start that we were looking at onboarding the average person. The people who have been around crypto for a long time, as Jason said, they're used to having these glitches and blockages and still working their way through because of the speculative nature of what they're trying to get involved in. We're very much focused on utility rather than speculation. So people who buy our coin are buying the coin because they want to get early access to the David Cohen concert and they want to get the tickets ahead of time. You know what I mean? That's what they want. And so they're buying the coin to get early access. It's like almost like a membership coin, for want of a better word. If you wait 2 days, you can get the tickets, but holders will get the tickets early, or you might get ringside seats, or you might get. So there's loads of incentives to hold the token. The same way in the game, you're holding the token because you're playing in tournaments. And we'll go back to Jason because he'll give you more details on a very exciting tournament we have coming up in the game. But that's the key. And on the back of that partnership thing, we've built out, we're already selling tickets for different companies. We did some events last year. This year there's crazy number of events lined up already. We've partnered with, the wrong word, we're working with the World Boxing Council. We attended their event in Germany, the annual general convention, and we presented to their promoters our ticketing platform. And on the back of that, we've got events coming up in Kazakhstan, in Nigeria, in the US, in the UK, and many more to come already with different promoters. We're working with an organization called Nuka MMA. Nuka MMA are the governing body for mixed martial arts for the colleges in the US, founded by Conor McGregor's coach, or co-founded. And we're doing events in the US this year in the colleges for mixed martial arts with Nuka. We're working in Thailand with an organization called Fight Circus, and these guys are nuts. But they've done crazy events, and even over the weekend they had an event. They have where two guys get in a t-shirt together and beat the heads of each other. They've done the telephone kiosk fighting. They've done everything you can imagine. But we're working with those guys in particular, not so much for their ticketing, but a very interesting proposal they put to us. Could we tip the fighters? So scan a QR code for a fighter and send a Mingo coin because you thought he did well, or he got his butt kicked, whatever. But these are some of the things that we have coming with them. Then we're working with them to do that. We're working with Comic-Con Ireland. If you're familiar with Comic-Con, the whole gaming, yeah. So they have 4 events coming up in Ireland. We have them organised. The first event is going to be announced, I think, early next week. And we'll have those tickets that will be going up for sale. An organisation called Plush Boxing. We are working with WBC Muay Thai, specifically their Muay Thai arm. And we're working with their team in Italy and several other countries already to arrange events this year. So that's all coming. And then obviously we're working, as people probably are aware, working with Tyson Fury and his promotion company, Gold Star Promotions. They manage all the boxing events out of Saudi Arabia. So we have a lot of stuff, really exciting things happening this year.
Joe, you mentioned kind of the scale, and I want to get back to that. How many tickets you expect to sell, how many app downloads you expect. But I do want to go back to Jason. You mentioned that tournament there. I just want some more details around that.
Yeah, so again, look, AstroKarts, we have the beta live currently. So on astrokarts.com, you can actually log on and play. And actually in the app right now, we're selling tickets for what we're calling the Genesis Gauntlet. This will be, it's basically our beta tournament. There'll be 1,000 people that can play. And we have lots of prizes and stuff up for grabs. That's going to happen on Feb 28th. That's the actual date for it. And yeah, it'll be cool. It's like 1,000 people battle royale tournament. It's kind of like a round robin. You kind of cycle through 12 player matches, and we start whittling ourselves down into like a final 10, and then they all compete head to head to win some pretty large prizes.
All right, I'll check it out. Now, Joe, I want to get back to the impact to Hedera. What does the scale look like? How many NFTs are you talking about for these tickets? And how many times do you think we're going to get accounts created through Mingo?
Well, right now, we are looking at over 1 million tickets to be sold this year. Right now. That's before we start really getting out into the Hedera community and making people aware out there that what we've got. By just kind of, how would I say, fostering the current relationships we have and nurturing them. That's what we're sitting on. We're sitting on over 1 million tickets this year. We want, and obviously talking with yourself, Brandon, will bring people in the Hedera community much more aware of what Mingo is. And if they have events coming up, whether it's a Hedera meetup, anything like that, where we can do the ticketing to show people for the functionality of it, create kind of collectible NFT memories for attending events, anything that can enhance kind of the overall Hedera community by sharing what we do.
Well, I think it's a perfect opportunity. We have HederaCon coming up. That's going to be out in Denver. Maybe I can put you in contact with what's going on there, just to get people, as you said, familiar with what's going on. But guys, thank you so much for coming on today and explaining everything you have going on at Mingo. I'm excited about what I'm hearing, and it sounds like you're going to have a pretty big impact on the Hedera network. So again, thanks for hopping on.
Thank you very much, Brandon.
Thanks, Brandon.
So it's great to catch up with those guys from Mingo. I do have a few more pieces of news that I want to cover, though. Continuing with the Hedera AI theme, Hedera has joined the DeCentralized AI Society to champion ethical, transparent, and decentralized AI. It's really good to see Hedera continuing to join entities like this. Of course, one of the really big partnerships that Hedera is involved in is the DREC Alliance, or Decentralized Recovery Alliance. Hedera founder and Hashgraph inventor Leeman Baird was the main driver behind the DREC Alliance, but the other founding members are pretty impressive. We have Algorand, Cardano, and Ripple. Other alliance members include Constellation and Recursive Labs. And we saw a post with some of the members meeting up with Leeman right there in the front. And next up, I wanted to talk about the first annual HederaCon. It's a meetup of the Hedera ecosystem and a lot of the different participants. It's going to be taking place on February 25th. I am going to be at the event. It sounds like there's going to be builders booths, speaking panels, and the who's who of the Hedera space there in attendance. It's going to be taking place around ETH Denver. There's an after party right after the event, and there's also going to be a karate combat event as well. So there's going to be plenty to do out there. If you want to attend, you can sign up at HederaCon.hedera.com. Before we move over to network analysis and the HBAR market, I do want to remind everybody that we have Karate Combat 52 coming up next week. So at some point early next week, make sure you transfer your tokens from DeFi or a centralized exchange into your app so you can participate in up-only gaming. With that, let's jump into some network analysis. As far as transaction volume, we've still been averaging about 10 transactions per second or so, but people have been saying that they've seen spikes over 100. We've seen 35,000 accounts created this week, 680,000 NFT transfers, and 21,000 fungible token transfers. Now let's jump into the HBAR and crypto markets. Clearly, crypto and the HBAR have had a really good week. We got a boost in risk assets as the inflation print came out cooler than expected on Wednesday, and I've already covered the catalyst that pushed some altcoins like HBAR to rocket late in the week. Bitcoin is currently sitting at about $105,000, up over 5% on the day and 10% on the week. HBAR had its move yesterday, so is flat on the day, but up 33% on the week and is currently sitting at about 37 cents. As discussed yesterday, we broke out of this bull flag, and as suspected, we made a run to the near-term high at about 40 cents as Asia woke up last night. We got rejected from that level, and that's just fine. It'll be good to consolidate here for a little bit. Obviously, that 40-cent level will be a key area of resistance. I'd look to 33 cents for support, and if we can stay in that range, this should set up a nice base for the next leg higher. We may be setting up support in the 36-cent range as well, so I'll keep an eye on that. I wouldn't be surprised if Asia takes us on another run as they wake up tonight. And in bull markets, which it seems like we're in, weekends tend to trend upward, so I'm looking forward to this weekend. Things couldn't look brighter for the HBAR and Hedera, especially when you consider where we came from just in mid-2024. Things have turned around in a huge way. Of course, we've always had really good use cases and things being built on Hedera, but it seems like the market is starting to realize the power of what this network has to offer. So in addition to that, going into next week, I'm going to be interviewing the creator of the meme coin Gib. I think it's number 2 or 3 on the list of meme coins that have been created with memejop.fund, so they're doing really well. We're also going to get the team from Kabila on. They have some exciting things that are coming up, so I wanted to grab a hold of them. And we're finally going to get Rob back for Shark Bites. So if you have any questions for Rob about the HBAR economy or Hedera, go ahead and drop those down in the comments. This time it's real. I am going to get Brady on this Sunday for another DeFi Corner. So check in for that. I think I will be able to post it on Sunday. That's pretty much all we have for this week. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.